Hi there, art lovers! Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Tamara and I'm an abstract artist. I'm so excited to share my passion for art with all of you today. In this video, I'll be taking you on a journey into the world of abstract art, where creativity knows no boundaries. Whether you're an art enthusiast or just curious about abstract art, you're definitely in for a treat. Let's dive in and explore the magic of abstract expression on canvas. Are you ready? Let's hit it! This video is an abstract pour of my latest collection, Majestic Tides. The series is inspired by the Nova Scotia coastline and ever-changing tides of Canada's east coast. Multiple times a day, the tides flow in and out of the Minas Basin from the Bay of Fundy, creating beautiful and unique impressions on the ocean floor. This is one of my favorite things about living in Nova Scotia. If you are lucky enough to squish your toes in the sand formations before the waters return, you too will also fall in love with Canada's east coast. To prepare for my art pouring session, the first thing that I like to do is prepare all of my liquid pouring medium. So I'm going to take the Liquitex pouring medium and combine it with my acrylic base paints from Liquitex Basics line and add some water to make it a little bit more fluid. My favorite part is mixing in some gold mica pigments to give the colors some custom styles and extra depth into the painting. It is quite important to thoroughly mix all of your paints so that you don't get any inconsistencies in texture, any extra globs of liquid medium or paint that decided to not mix in, and also make sure that you let your paint sit and tap out any of the air bubbles before you start pouring. I am quite a messy artist, so I always wear gloves and I make sure to lay down some protective cloths on my floor, even though it always ends up getting on the floor anyway. It definitely helps the amount of cleaning up I have to do after I'm done. I also like to keep a bunch of extra rags handy, and as you can tell, I wipe my hands all over my pants and I have specific painting clothes dedicated to wearing when I'm creating so that I don't ruin my entire wardrobe. I'm going to move on to the next painting and get started. So there are actually multiple paint sessions for this series, but in this painting session, I am painting 6 canvases. 3 of them are 24 inches by 24 inches, so they're exact squares, and then the other 3 are 24 inches by 36 inches, so 2 feet by 3 feet. As you can see, I do like to paint with my hands a lot. It gives me a lot of control and I can really get into my paint session and feel where I'm putting the gold mica pigments within the darker blues. Once I'm done with my final touches, I do like to pop any air bubbles in my paint with my heat gun and just double check that there aren't any fibers stuck into my painting. Moving on to the third and final square canvas, I'm just going to add a bunch of my paint and get it right to the edges so that it covers all of the canvas. When I am using white on a canvas, I always dedicate one single palette knife to spreading my white paint around. This will ensure that the colors do not merge with the paint and create a lighter blue that I'm not wanting on the canvas. I use this larger palette knife to get a really cool swiping effect. This piece is called Drifting, and I really like how it flows. As I pull through a little peekaboo of blue into the white, I really like the outcome of this piece. And when I put the final touches of resin on it, it really is going to sparkle. Moving on to our first of 3 larger paintings, I am going to add as much paint as I can to cover the surface area without overflowing the canvas too much. I find that if I use too much heavy paint, the paint settles in the middle because the canvas is not a hard surface, so sometimes it pools in the middle, and I have definitely learned this the hard way. So the thinner my paint, the easier it is to spread around. Painting with liquid pouring medium can be slightly messy, so in order to make sure that my edges are nice and clean, I actually prepare all of my canvases with a painter's tape prior to doing any of my painting. These are 2.5-inch canvases in depth, and I like to make sure that by the end of my paint session, once I remove that painter's tape, that everything is nice and clear so that I can put a nice fresh coat of paint to match the painting. Adding that extra step to prepare the canvas is a little bit time consuming, but it is quite worth it in the end because it saves you a lot of work having to either sand down your canvas or repaint over it multiple times so that you don't have dribbles down the side of your canvas. So I find that it's definitely worth it. Just going to take a quick moment to pour some extra liquid medium and stir with some acrylic paint so that I have enough for my next canvas. Sometimes this does happen during a paint session, and to me that's okay because I'd rather mix a little bit more paint than have too much left over and not know what to do with it. Of course, I do save all of my paints. I have special bottles that I put them in so that they don't dry out. But if I don't necessarily want to use that color for a long time, I'll have to end up straining it through a strainer. And sometimes it's just better, in my opinion, to use the paint that you've got while you want to use it. Otherwise, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to want to do with it later on. Pouring medium can be used on a variety of surfaces, including canvas, wood, glass, and even ceramics. It dries with a glossy or matte finish depending on the type of pouring medium that you use, but it can be sealed with varnish or resin to add a protection and durability layer. I personally prefer resin, but I do have some clients that do not like the look of the glaze and prefer it to be varnished with a liquid gloss. One of the things I like most about pouring medium is its versatility. You can actually customize the thickness of your paint through adding different ratios of paint and water in your pouring cup. It allows you to have control over the consistency, the flow of the paint, and whether or not it's opaque, which I find is really fascinating. Pouring medium can be mixed with a wide range of paints, including acrylics, inks, and even watercolor to allow for experimentation and different styles of media throughout your work. So this piece is the last piece in my paint session, and when I am finished my paint session, I normally like to get rid of all of the paint that I have mixed. So specifically, I had an excess of gold mica pigment in one of my pouring cups. So in this canvas, you will see a lot of extra gold, but it turns out quite beautiful. I did name this piece the main. It's another word for a body of water, and I just felt like it was the main attraction of the collection. It's got so much sparkle, but it's not so in your face that it's overwhelming. It really is a nice, gentle sparkle within all of the acrylics. So the pigments really do stand out in this piece specifically. Just adding a few finishing touches to my pieces before I close up my art studio for the day. I want to thank you so much for sticking around if you made it through the entire video. I know it was a long pour, but can you imagine that this video was sped up times 9? So yes, this is a time-consuming passion, but thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video. If you haven't already, like and subscribe.